I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Waterworks and Lighting Commission. I would like an approval for are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on March 11th, 2015?
I would move to approve the minutes. March.
Okay, we have approval second. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Action items. 3.1, simplified water rate case.
Jeff.
Yeah, as you may or may not recall, when we went through the budget process last fall, one of the things we included in that was a simplified rate case done at some point during 2015. What I'm requesting today is the approval to file that rate case with the commission. We're looking at filing it on Friday, which means it would go into effect on June 1st. The rate case would increase all rates 3%. So for the average homeowner, it would go up 68 cents or about 2 cents a day is what we're looking at for increased water rates. Right now, if we would go through a full rate case right now, rates would go up right around 10% based on where we are. We're authorized to earn 6% rate of return. In 2014, we earned 2.37%, so we're below that amount. We're anticipating with this rate increase, we'll be right around 4.25% for 2015, so we're still below the 6%, but we're in a pretty good spot that we shouldn't need an increase for several years after this one.
Yeah, the commission developed this a while back as a way to get water, because water utilities typically would wait to the point to file for a rate increase where they could see 70 to 80% increases in rates. So they made this available for between 5 years between your rate cases in order just to get a small bump and not have as a large increase the next time you file.
And we're not anticipating any significant capital expenditures on the water side?
Nothing out of the ordinary other than the typical water main reconstruction every year.
I would move that we approve the application for the simplified water rate case.
I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Thank you.
Accounts written off.
Why don't you do a quick summary?
Sure. Early this morning, or when I went to the Finance Committee, we had the list of accounts that should be written off from July, August, and September of 2014. While these are being written off, that doesn't mean the collection efforts cease. In one regards, they're just starting at this point. So any of those accounts, if they're over $20, they'll either go to TRIP or to the State Debt Collection Initiative for further collection efforts.
The amount? I know it was $39,000.
Thank you. The total amount, it was 164 accounts for $39,250.34.
I would move that the accounts be written off with the proviso that they be submitted for the tax refund intercept and also the state debt collection initiative so that we can recover as much as possible.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? If not, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Department updates, Safety Committee.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Dale, do you have a competent person training? You do, okay.
Any other questions? If not, the line superintendent's report.
Were the animals squirrels?
Yeah.
Still squirrels.
Still got some out there.
You've still got car versus lights and stuff, but who wins those games?
We're both losers.
Oh, I did have a question. An underground fault,
Yep,
what was that?
the secondary fault, just the wires burnt up and we had to dig it up and repair it. It was underground secondary.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any other questions? If not, let's go to water department operations.
I noticed a comment about lead service removal.
lead service.
These are two from the street to the home, or what's the,
What we're replacing is from the main to the curb valve in the property. For various reasons, these were because we actually had a leak in them. Then we had one which the service was only supplying like 2 gallons of it into the household and had copper on their side, so we replaced our side, increased their flow of pressure, so there's still a fair amount in town, but we're working at getting them out as we can.
okay.
The water breaks, and you had 4 frozen services. Is that beginning of the month or so? That's still real cold.
And the water breaks have settled down, knock on wood, it's been quiet. The services that freeze up, that's pretty much done now. So, good to go.
But it was early this month, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was very few this month compared to last year, this year compared to last.
Yeah, I think we had a total, like a dozen total that froze up. We had a thaw this year compared to 300 last year, so it's considerably different.
Any other question?
Do you know where all of those lead supplies are? No.
We don't have real good records going back that far. In our records where it has nothing listed for material for the service, we assume that they're lead, but we're not 100% sure, so it's sort of like a case-by-case basis that we dig them up.
Right?
Anybody else? If not, office manager's report. If there are no questions, let's go to the Director of Finance. So we're going to review the audit probably next month?
We should have a representative from Schenck here at the meeting in May, and they'll present the audit to us. Yes.
And, I hate to bring up, something we talked about, about the accruing for vacation in the beginning of the year. Should we, what, could you tell me what the reason why we, take a big hit like that right in the beginning of the year?
The reason we did this year was, it was on the advice of our accounting software people was to keep the liability to tie with the number of hours that are out there, so we can reconcile it. You know, if somebody does leave during the course of the year, they don't earn those, so we're gonna true it up at that point, but it's just, for this year, it looks a little different because everybody has their hours at the beginning of the year as opposed to when their anniversary date is.
Yeah, I guess that's just hard for me to handle in my mind, you know, taking vacation in January. You know. Hardly anybody uses it.
We're not paying it, it's just.
Are you putting it,
Yeah,
yeah, accruing it? Yeah,
Accrue the liability.
you're accruing the liability, right.
Fancy accounting.
I know. Any other questions? Information Systems Administrator.
Yeah, Matt, I'd like to have you talk a little bit about the mobile solution and how that works and how it's functioning.
Sure, what we're looking to do is we're looking to basically put iPads in the trucks as opposed to doing a full-blown ruggedized computer. For one, it's a whole lot cheaper, and the other, all these companies are coming out with apps for iPads or Android devices that work with their software. NISC is one of them. So NISC has a whole suite of apps that they use for work management, for timekeeping, for all sorts of different things. So what we're doing is right now we're in the testing process. We're trying to see what this app suite does. And they gave it to us for free. They set it up for free. So all we have to do is take time to test it. Well, actually it was on Friday last week. They sent me an email. Of course I wasn't here. We were off for, was it last Friday? We were off for Good Friday.
Yeah, Good Friday.
And so Monday, I got the information, I started setting it up, and we started testing the App Suite product. So to see what it can do as far as looking at the maps and looking at the work orders and working with all those different things that the crews would do out in the field. So that's where we're at there. We're still in the testing process. It's probably going to take a couple of weeks to get through it all. I ran into some roadblocks already that we need to overcome, but we're getting there.
Are these live when they're in the field?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can interface with the operations planning,
Correct.
if you will?
And right now, we're pushing the service orders to the trucks and all that, but this will then incorporate all of our mapping and the electric systems and all those other things and staking. So.
Any other questions? If not, Conservation Manager report.
Good reports from all the key accounts you were calling on?
Yes. With the Austin's project, it's just been a really good proactive approach after we get the results to contact them, and the feedback's been great.
Maybe anything new happening with your Centennial Committee?
We consulted with the Encourage Foundation. We've had a phone conference with them, we've had 2 meetings. And they've been a big help, considering they've held events that would actually a larger magnitude than what we're gonna look at doing this summer. And so they're helping us out quite a bit with that, for us to figure out the pros and cons, what to do, what not to do. So they've been a big help and support. So we give them all the thanks from Waterworks and Lighting Commission.
Good.
Yeah, when we got the date set to sponsor the Raptors baseball game, which is August 6th, and the plan is at this point in time to have an event a couple hours prior to the game there, and and serve food that will likely have the rafters cater as well, and then have all our trucks down there and some stuff for the kids to do, bucket truck rides and bounce houses and a number of other things prior to the game, and then we'll shut down a little before the game and then go in and then naturally we'll be offering tickets to the rafters games if a customer brings a food can item. Ultimately, we're only going to get about, what, 1,500 rafters tickets, Joel, because the rest goes to season ticket holders. So the first 1,500 that get the tickets will be the ones that are able to attend, so.
And you're gonna offer those tickets, right?
No, we're gonna do it ahead of time. The Rafters suggested we do some advertising and do that beforehand and have them bring the canned good down to the Rafters office. They'll collect it for us, and then, because they can do all the seating and all that right there. And they didn't want to put up with a wave of people coming all at one time to get the tickets distributed. So actually, the tickets will probably be gone long before the game actually happens. Joel, do you have anything to add?
I would just say that John Fanta, the general manager for the Rafters, has been extremely helpful, extremely accommodating. So far so good.
I see that there was some work done to identify the biogas productivity. What kind of results did you identify there?
What the city was, what they were looking for is they have a Gen Bach or biogas generator. And they were looking for what kilowatt hours were produced in the year 2014. And what we were able to do through smart meter technology is to go back, look at that reading, starting at the first of the year, at the end of the year. And it's given us the total kilowatt hour usage. We also were able to look at what it was produced if it was on an 8 to 9 on peak, off peak time, which is a different rate, and tell us what they were producing during that on peak hours versus off peak hours, and we could tell them essentially what their savings were, how much they were savings with that generator, so they can look at the benefits in their maintenance that they have to do on that biogas generator for, it's like every 3 to 4 years. So we're able to give them a certain number on that.
You can say no more about that? What kind of order of magnitude value is there?
They're looking at approximately over $100,000 savings.
Per year?
Yes, that's roughly the number we're coming up with.
Was it 400, 500 kW generator, I think? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a number of, like Ocean Spray, and there's some cheese companies now that are putting high-strength waste right into the reactor, and they're getting extra gas to run the generator.
Yeah, at
So-
first they were having to mix a lot of natural gas with it because they weren't getting enough biogas off the sewer treatment production. But now I think they're getting most of it biogas, which helps the economics.
Very good.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a question. That August 6th, that's for the ball game. What'd you come up with for the concert?
Roxanne?
In talking with Peggy,
Yeah.
I believe she said Tuesdays are all open. She said give her a call the minute we for sure have down our date. And I'm kind of hoping that we can wrap it into possibly the day before. Doing it, or it'll be 2 days before because we're looking at Thursday, but that week.
So it'd be Tuesday, August 4th in that scenario.
Okay,
As long as we can get, we have to finalize rafters as soon as we have that.
okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, Director of Engineering, Electric Operations report.
What's the story on these 46 kilovolt arc suppressors that were,
Yeah, so what we found last year when we were doing some maintenance at the Gainer substation was the 46 kV disconnects were froze up and we couldn't get them open. And so we actually took the substation out of service. We found that a part on the switch itself that suppresses the arc when you open the switch had failed. And so we were able to just order that particular part. And what we did last month then was replace those parts on all the switches. So if you were to compare that to having replaced the entire switch, it saved us about $30,000. So I'm pretty proud of that project. And we have the same style switch at the high school substation, so I ordered the parts for that one as well. We're gonna go ahead and upgrade those switches probably in the fall. So, and our crews did all the work themselves, which again, I'm very proud of that as well.
Todd, would you like to show your plaque and give a little explanation of what RP3
Yeah,
is?
a couple months ago, we said that we were awarded the APPA, American Public Power Association, RP3 award, which is for Reliable Public Power Provider. This is the first time, though, that we actually had a score that put us as a platinum member. Our score was 97.5 points out of 100. So again, very proud of that score. There's, I think, only about 8 utilities in the state of Wisconsin out of the 82 municipalities that have this award. So it's an award that we've had now since, I believe, 2010. And so this award is a 3-year award. It goes until 2018. So very happy to receive that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
do you want to make any comment about the April 15th?
Well, we're gonna do some major repairs on April 15th to 115 kV disconnect switch that's in a substation that's on the east side of the city. So it's one of those contingencies where we're feeding the whole east side of the city from the west side. And so if everything goes fine, none of our customers will see any effect to it. But there's always that added risk because you don't have as many pieces of equipment feeding the east side of the city when you're taking some of them out. So Sean has done a really good job contacting our major customers on the east side and making them aware of this day that we're going to do this maintenance, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. We're pretty confident that it'll go well.
Anything else? If not, general manager's report? When are you going to give the testimony for glue?
The final piece of which is called surrebuttal was filed Monday on behalf of Glue. I think the PSC is looking at a May timeframe to make the decision on to approve the merger of We Energies, or actually the acquisition We Energies is purchasing Wisconsin Public Service. Actually received FERC approval about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon as well. So FERC has already approved it, saying it's not going to dampen competition with respect to pricing. So, assuming since it got FERC approval, that it'll probably get Public Service Commission approval.
And do you feel that there might be any problem with ATC in the stock, the majority stock?
We do. We're hoping that the PSC approves the merger with conditions of making them either divest of part of their ATC stock or provide additional board seats to other entities like potentially Glue, which we've suggested in our rebuttal. Yeah, they'll own over 60% of ATC stock when it's all said and done, which is the transmission owner within the state of Wisconsin and up in the UP. So.
And that wasn't of any concern to the FERC discussion?
Was not, no. I think it's now because the MISO footprint is so large. I mean, it goes all the way from the some parts of Canada, all the way down to New Orleans, that when you look at it in that bigger context, they don't see it as much of an impact.
Any other questions?
I had something that's out of sequence here. It's really, my notes were out of sequence, I guess, for Sean. I really am pleased to see that you're going to participate in this future fair at Meade Elementary, and I'd like to encourage all of the technologists here to participate in that, because this country needs people that are skilled and work in the crafts more than anything, and we have to work with students of that age to get them convinced that that is a viable future career. In fact, in many cases, I think it's actually a better career than a college education to get into the skilled craft areas. So it, to me, is something that I'm very pleased to see this group is participating.
Your plan is to take a couple employees with you as well, right, from different disciplines? Yeah.
Yes, and last year we had the electric side, we had Our Town presented by one of our linemen. And Jim and I discussed this year when they reached out to us to expand to that. I mean, the utility is also the water side of things. And so we thought, bringing Dale in and having some of the employees of the water department and Dale represent us would be just an added feature that we could give them from previous years.
Great.
Anything else? Review of accounts payable. Page 1. We have a payment to the City of Wisconsin Rapids for $504,000 roughly. And it's water main construction, health insurance, wages, and fuel.
The main part of that is the water main construction, so that was all the work they did in 2014. They don't bill us until 15, and it wasn't due until March, so the majority of that bill was all the water main construction they did.
And I take it our fuel comes from the city fuel?
We do purchase our fuel from the city, and then they bill us monthly for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that occurred a while back. We were going to need to make a lot of improvements to our fueling station, so we talked to the city and decided to partner with them. It made sense. They needed to upgrade theirs, and so it just made sense not to have two sites.
And it's working out well.
It's working,
I haven't heard of
working
it.
great, yeah.
Does it work like a gas station? You pay for what you use?
They have cards, don't you, Jason? Yeah.
Yeah, you just swipe your, punch a code in, every employee has their own code, punch it in, truck number, and there you go.
And I see you on the credit cards, you did put a note for what the credit card was used for.
We did everything over $200 this month, hopefully to kind of,
Yeah, thanks.
a little less transparent, sure.
Any other questions? Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure would.
We have one, I take it.
I'll second that.
Thank you.